and welcome back to the Bored Whovian YouTube channel. And today, I believe it is day 9 of the 14 days of Doctor Who. We are well into it right now, not long left. But yeah, this should be coming out on the 19th of December, so that's Sunday. It's the coming Sunday, actually. So, today I've got to review the Snowmen. Now, obviously, the last one was fairly negative. This one, I've got to admit, I expected to be very negative before watching it, and I think my opinion may have changed on this one. Whether that's controversial or not, my opinion has definitely changed on this special, and I'm glad, because that's kind of what I wanted to do with this. When you look back on stories, hopefully you look back on them in a better light, and that's definitely happening with this episode. So let's just get underway and explain, how I feel about it now. So this Christmas special, this episode as a whole, it kind of has a few functions. One, it kind of sets up the Great Intelligence as they come back later on in Series 7, and as well, it also begins the kind of Impossible Girl arc for Clara, which is important in the second half of Series 7 as well. I mean, people may say Asylum of the Daleks sets it up. I'd argue no, because you don't really know that at the time. This one is the one that establishes it. And also, she's a lot more prevalent in this story, since Amy and Rory aren't around. She is kind of the main kind of guest companion. Well, not really guest companion, because she becomes the companion, but not this character. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. I would just like to say, it's really nice to bring the Great Intelligence back, as they are a really good idea for a monster and for a villain, because they can be used in various ways. But it's a shame they weren't brought back as the Yeti, because that's what everyone wanted them to be brought back as. Everyone wanted the Yeti back. We got Snowmen instead, which is a shame. I haven't watched the episodes they're in. I've only watched The Web of Fear. I haven't watched the Abominable Snowman. But I will be watching it probably next year, since the DVD is coming out. Since they've reanimated it, and hopefully I get my hands on that as soon as possible, because I'm really excited. But then again, I also have Evil of the Daleks and View from the Deep, and I haven't watched either of them either. So, I need to up my game in watching those ones. But, yeah. So, my knowledge on them is decent. I've watched one of their stories. I do understand kind of what they're about. But, yeah, it's a shame the Yeti weren't used. But, yeah, I think the Doctor's role in this story is very well done. And what I will say is Moffat does this twice, in the way he explores how the Doctor experiences the loss of a companion. With Amy and Rory, he's been with them for a long time. They say he's been with them for 10 years of their life, on and off. He's his companions of that Doctor. He hasn't been with anyone for a while, and suddenly they're gone out of his life, and he reacts to it just by running away from it. He's experienced so much loss, he doesn't want to experience it again, and it's a great way of exploring that. And then with Clara, you see it again with Hellbent, exploring that. And yes, I am actually defending Hellbent there. I'm actually defending it. You can complain all you want, I've just defended Hellbent. Sorry. But, yeah, he definitely has ideas of, of the Doctor experiencing loss and exploring it a lot further. And I do like that about this. One massive complaint I have early on in this story, the titles. By God, I despise these titles. I'm not going to go too much into it, because I do have a video in the pipeline which will go into them, if, that goes past copyright. But I despise the title sequence so much. But yeah, moving on, you have the whole idea of Snow and Snow learning from people, which I don't quite understand. But in this story, you've got the Paternoster gang, so that's Vastra, Jenny, and Strax. And one thing is mentioned very early on is obviously it's set in the Victorian age, and Richard E. Grant's character, Dr. Simeon, mentions to the two of them that Arthur Conan Doyle, well, he calls him Dr. Doyle, therefore, Arthur Conan Doyle, his writings are based on you two, therefore, Sherlock is based on them in Doctor Who canon, which I find very funny. Not for the reason of, them being women. It's not them that's funny. Vastra being the Sherlock, yes. Jenny being the Mr. Watson, yeah. And then the really funny part is the idea that Strax is Miss Hudson. I find that quite funny. Yeah. If you haven't actually watched Sherlock, the actual TV series, and you watched like Doctor Who, I think I've mentioned this before. Go watch it. It's brilliant. I love Sherlock. It's fantastic. Watch it. But continuing to move on, we go back on the whole idea of the Doctor leaving people, and it's a very good idea. And the whole idea of the episode is to give you an hour worth of reason for him to go from here, from A to B. To go from being completely apathetic and not wanting to help people to, I want to help people. Getting him back to the status quo of Doctor Who. And the episode actually works in that respect. And when I look back on the last Christmas special, I think it didn't focus on the right thing. It should have focused on loss, and it didn't. And this one focuses on the right things. And I don't know why. I've always disliked this one. I think it's because there's a lot of moments which are a little bit childish. And I looked back on like, I don't really like this. Because at the time I was like 10 years old. So, I was reaching up to a time when I was about to go into secondary school. So I was almost like, oh, that's a bit too kiddie for me. No. But now I can look back and go, it's a Christmas special. It's going to be a little bit more kiddie and a little bit more fun and silly in parts. And you just got to accept that. But I love the line which the Doctor utters, which is, the universe doesn't care. Just showing like how burnt out he is by Amy and Rory leaving. And it is tragic for the Doctor. I admit that episode doesn't really hit me that much because shock horror, wasn't that big a fan of them. And I thought, they'd been around for a fair amount of time. We need a new companion. As I think, 2 seasons is enough. They were here for 2.5. So it's like, yeah, it was the right time for them to go. But, their exit is not wasted. It is used very well. I mean, the only real complaint I'd have is, the ending to series... not Series 7. The ending to the first half of Series 7 doesn't really show this kind of reaction. He just, asks River if she'll travel with him. She says no. You don't see much beyond that. And then suddenly he's in Victorian London and he doesn't want to travel with everyone. But you can see time's passed and he's eventually come to the conclusion, no, I won't travel with people, which is fine. So with this Clara, we have Victorian Clara in this, as she's commonly referred to, living a double life. One as a barmaid with a Cockney accent, and one as a kind of as a governess who has a more kind of posh, upper class Victorian accent, which is probably how most people would see the Victorian age, dividing it into two typical accents perceived in media. And she, follows the Doctor and eventually discovers the TARDIS. And I love the way the TARDIS is done here. It really sums up what happens in Moffat's run. It's just very fantastical and magical. And the Doctor is seen as that kind of character. As the way it's an invisible ladder, an invisible staircase, and the TARDIS is on a cloud. It feels like, just wonder, and it does give you that childlike wonder of the Doctor, which is really good. And this works for the kids. I think kids would have, if I was younger when I watched Moffat's run, I would have appreciated it even more. Which is probably why I prefer his earlier work with Matt Smith, because I was still quite young. But toward the end I was 11 and I was getting to a point where I was like, oh no, I want Doctor Who to be more serious, because when you're growing up that little bit, you kind of feel like that. But yeah, the staircase idea is brilliant, and only Moffat would do that. That's something only Moffat would do out of all the showrunners. Yeah. I do really like as well, there is the maid, Clara is a governess, the maid of the house she is at is played by an actress who I recognised from Life on Mars, and I really like her in that. She does nothing here. It's a waste of a good actress, but she's in Life on Mars, and she's fantastic in it. I just wanted to mention that. I don't know if the actress name or the actual maid's name. Oh no, Maid Alice, I think. Maid Alice is played by one of the actresses from Life on Mars, and it's fantastic. Check that out. I've given 2 recommendations already to TV, but yeah, check both of those out. They're fantastic. You see the children of the house that Clara's working at, and I don't know if it's deliberate, but the boy is wearing a costume or clothing which pretty much looks exactly like the costume which Ben, former companion of the first and second Doctor, wears in like his first few stories, which is almost like a sailor. It looks a bit like a sailor's costume, and it's identical. I don't know if that's supposed to be, a reference or not, but it's what I noticed. The actress that plays the young girl, I'm pretty much 95% sure is the exact same actress who plays young Lily Potter in the Deathly Hallows, or in Deathly Hallows Part 2. Again, I don't, have, the evidence here. It's just something which I thought. And again, I'm getting distracted from the actual story, but that's just a note I made down. I do think this version of Clara is quite intuitive and smart and quick on her feet. And I do like it how she quickly realises when the girl is talking about her, her old governess who died, and she's dreaming of her getting revenge. She realises it's her thoughts which are going to cause it to happen. As she realises the pond is the only thing that hasn't thawed out, it's the only ice which remains, which shows her experience has affected her knowledge, and she is a quick learner and very good companion material. They are setting you up to make you think she's the next companion, which she is, while she isn't, which is smart from Moffat, because we knew Jenna Coleman would be the new companion, so we were thinking, this is the character, and then we were like, no, it isn't. Which is a decent twist, but, I'll get on to what I think of Series 7 a little bit towards the end. Obviously, Clara goes looking for the Doctor to help, the kids, and I do like how she is confronted by Vastra, and is given the one-word test, which is a very good scene, and I love the way it ends. She's given one word to explain everything and why the Doctor should help her, and everything, and why he should investigate, and she says pond, and you see when the Doctor finds out, just his stuts, he's just absolutely shocked, and then he looks at the glasses, because obviously he's wearing Amy's glasses, and he's still, completely stunned by what happened in Angels Take Manhattan. And it's a great way of just quickly referring to what happened, because it's never referred to. They just refer to it as he's lost too much and everything, and then just the utterance of pond, and he's completely broken. Not long after this, he's gone even more into the investigation, pretends to be Sherlock Holmes, and I do like it because at the start he's kind of making rubbish deductions, almost joking around, playing with the room. But after that, he actually makes some very good deductions. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet, Ian Mckellen plays the Great Intelligence in this, or the voice of, and it's just really great, because I can't help but hear it and think, Magneto? But, he has this great booming voice, which is perfect for it. He's just got generally, he's got a fantastic voice. It's brilliant, and he does his job very well in this story. And it's great to have such a, great British actor in Doctor Who. I mean, it's a shame he's been wasting on just voice acting, and he could have played a much larger role in a better story, but we take what we can. But yeah, when he's pretending to be Sherlock Holmes, the Doctor deduces, that they need to have a human form to, become more of a threat and to, actually thrive. And he deduces that they found a frozen, some sort of ice person or something, and he finds the article on the frozen pond and the old governess, which is a great way of linking him back to Clara. He's not purposely meeting up with her, but she just happens to be with the people. We have it's connecting the dots, and it's good writing, I think. One thing as well, this is a little theory which I heard years ago. When the Doctor is kind of signalling with his hands to Clara in the window that he's going to come up, he goes like 5 minutes. All right, I'll be up. And before that, he's discussing, no, I'm just going to tell her I'm going to leave. And it's his right hand that does it. There's one theory which I heard, which is that's not his hand. And that obviously, as Tennant, right, gets his hand cut off in the Christmas Invasion, his right hand doesn't regenerate. So he still has Tennant's right hand. So it's like Tennant's right hand trying to get with the girl. And Eleven's like, what the hell are you doing? Which is a very fun theory. I've no comment whether it's canon or not. You make up your mind. You get the Ice Lady coming up. You get the Paternoster Gang reappear. Stuff goes on. Blah 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 blah. They get to the TARDIS. Now, while they're walking back up the stairs, genius line again, as Clara asks, "Why are we going up so fast?" And the Doctor just says it's taller on the inside, which is quite funny. I'd never remember catching that line watching it live. Obviously, I watched it live in 2012, so yeah, I don't really remember it that well. It was 9 years ago. God, I thought Matt Smith was the Doctor 9 years ago. Oh my word. But it is still a really good line. And not after that, we get another brilliant line. We get the Tardis reveal of the new design of the TARDIS, which I think is fantastic. It is one of the best TARDIS designs we've ever had. But it is very much and definitely improved once you have Capaldi in it. Not because Capaldi's in it, but you know what I mean. The lighting change, the decoration of the actual set is a lot better. It feels less bland, and it looks more lived in when Capaldi's there with the redesign. But it's one of the best TARDIS interiors we've ever had. But obviously, we get the line, "It's small on the outside," which again, Moffat comes up with these good little TARDIS reactions. It's good. Because obviously as well we have Bill Potts' reaction, and we also have the scene of the Doctor in Husbands of Riverside, which I will get to. But all in good time. As well, I love the line from the Doctor when he realises he wants her to be his companion, because he goes, "I never know why, I only know who." Which shows that he doesn't decide to be with people. It just comes to him and goes, "I need to take these people with me." And it's just a really nice sign, but it's a really nice moment. But oh, whoops. One thing I will say is that I feel Clara's death, which happens right after this, just on the doors of the TARDIS, is complete and utter tonal whiplash. And it's a shame, because I was really liking the story up to this point. But, you've got all this lovely, positive, music. It's Clara's theme. And the Doctor's really happy, going, remember this, you're going to enjoy this. And then suddenly, she's dead. And it's just like, you don't have, time to react to the sudden change in theme. And you're just like, oh, she's dead now. What? Yeah. I mean, she isn't dead. She's like clinging on to life because of Strax. But, she eventually dies. But yeah, to me, the death doesn't really hit as much as it probably should. And that's a shame, because it should hit a little bit more, because you've grown to like this character over the course of the episode. As well, here's the thing. The Doctor shows the Great Intelligence tube map. And, I've got to say, does that mean that the Doctor is the reason that the Web of Fear happened? So, and the thing is, the Doctor knows that. The thing that annoys me here, he shows them it, says, 1967, the tube, tactical weakness. And then later on, he looks at their card and goes, "Great Intelligence. That's familiar." I'm like, well, you clearly recognised them earlier, because you recognised them and referred to the Web of Fear. And later on you don't. So yeah, that's a bit of a dodgy one. But, yeah. I don't know if I want to go through the rest of the plot, but what I'm going to jump to, I think I'm just going to jump to the ending. So obviously Clara dies, and I've got to say, I really love the realisation of Clara being the same as the souffle girl from Asylum of the Daleks, which again is a story I'm not that big a fan of. I'm not actually a massive fan of Series 7. If I'm going to be honest, it's my least favourite era of modern Doctor Who. 100%. I would rather watch Series 11, Series 12 and Series 13 to Series 7. Hand on heart, 100%. Series 7, in my opinion, is one of the worst series of Doctor Who. Sorry, people who heard that. I will do another video. I will do a video covering the other series and covering Series 7 probably. But yeah, that is an opinion I have, and I will take that opinion to the grave. But anyway, his realisation of Clara is brilliant as he sees her grave. He sees the Oswin Oswald. You hear the audio. You get a flashback, because obviously people need to remember that it was 5 episodes prior, and people might not think it was a significant part of the episode, and therefore may have forgotten. You get the "Run, you clever boy," and "Remember" line, which is the same. And it does set up the arc quite well, the arc of the remainder of Series 7. As you're interested, you're intrigued, and you're like, wow, how can this happen? The shame is, I think the arc is actually quite crap, as Clara's character suffers for it, in that I don't think she has a character, in that Clara's personality is just, I'm the impossible girl. I'm not saying I dislike Clara, I'm saying I dislike Clara in Series 7. In Day of the Doctor, I don't mind her, because it's almost like they start to think of making her a character, as suddenly she, is a teacher. They suddenly think of something. There is suddenly something behind her character there. And I like her in Series 8 and Series 9. But Series 7, no, don't like that character. She's a completely different person later on. But it does set up the arc well. I remember seeing the cliffhanger to this special and being really excited to watch the rest of Series 7. So, I believe that is it. It's a lot better than I remember. Definitely a lot better than I remember. It's not a 4 out of 10 like yesterday. It's not the Christmas Invasion. It's not the Runaway Bride, I don't think. But I think the reason I'm so happy is because it's not a 4 out of 10, which is what I predicted. So if I could give this anything out of 10, I would give it a 6. I'd give this a 6 out of 10. Just fine. I'm happy to watch it. It's a fine episode. I'm not a big fan of the Paternoster gang, but I really like them in this story. I've got to say Vastra is a very good character. I'd happily see Vastra again, but the issue is, by having to see Vastra again, we will have to see the whole of them, and I don't like Strax. But he's good in this story as well. I've got to point that out. So, that is it with day 9. What do you think of this episode? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What would you give it out of 10? So yeah, comment that below. If you like the video, then drop it a like. If you like all this kind of content and want to see more, or you like the other content on this channel, then click the subscribe button for more content like this and to see it all the time in your feed. As well, ding the bell for notifications so you know when I'm uploading. And yeah, as well, I've got my Instagram, which is at _board_Whovian, which you will see attached to this channel. So yeah, check that out. I will always be posting on there when I upload, and other stuff. You'll see stuff on my story a lot. I might occasionally post, questions and that to interact with you a lot. But yeah, I believe that is it. So, the Snowmen, day 9 of the 14 days of Doctor Who. 5 days left, and I just want to quickly talk because it's a very important time for me right now, as I'm filming this on the night of the 14th of December. It's actually just gone midnight, so it's now the 15th, and I'm about to watch Spider-Man No Way Home, and I'm very excited. As a result, I'm also going home on Saturday, so I'm running out of time to record the rest of these. So yeah, I'm just explaining the fact that there will be a sudden change of scenery probably, as I will have to finish these back home. So yeah, when you see me watch Twice Upon a Time, yeah, I'll probably be at home. But hopefully not. Hopefully I can get these all done before I go home. But I'm just being honest, that's probably going to happen. So that is the video. I've been the Board Whovian, and I'll see you around. Merry Christmas.